Well, hey, it's Friday. We made it to it in one piece, physically, if not mentally. How the heck are you guys? It's good to see you. It's good to be seen by you. I didn't realize how oversaturated the light would be here. I'm sorry. I was going to mention that I had been working on the shelves, but you guys can barely see them because the light is so bright. But yes, indeed, there it is. Oh, and of course, I forgot. I, of course, am your host, the Dungeon Delver, better known as Bill Sylvie, furthermore known as the Jam. And I hope you're all doing wonderful this evening. But anyway, I hope you're all right. We have got a hell of a show lined up for you tonight. And I just wanted to bring you guys into what's going on because we're going to be talking about A3. That's right, Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords. But I had a little male-oriented bon mot today, a little amuse-bouche, a little nice thing in the mail. And I know normally we do mail call on Monday, but I didn't want to wait. Did you? Dungeon Minister, that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. So let's dive into the good stuff and look at what we got. Now, remember a few weeks ago, we had gifted an awesome fantasy author, raconteur, all-around swell guy, Sky Hernstrom, on the show. And, of course, Sky is a fantasy author, published. And he sent us a couple of books via post, and they came today. And I thought we could open these and take a look at what we got from Sky. There's 2 books in here. The first one, it is this lovely hardback. I love the graphics. I love everything about this. This is like something I would have gotten from the Science Fiction Book Club in terms of printing quality and cover art. And I mean that in a really good way. This is Thune's Vision from Skylar Hernstrom. So you guys take a look at that. Take a gander, if you will, at Thune's Vision. Let me move my grubby fingers there. So that is a lovely book. I am adding that to my summer reading list and looking forward to it. Sky talked about it in that. Bill, it's exhilarating meeting a kindred spirit. Can't wait to game with you. Sky Hernstrom. And it's got this amazing Rust Monster art. I hope that shows up on camera there. Got that amazing Rust Monster art in the cover. Love it to death. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. But wait, there's more. More goodies in the mailbag. We have Eye of Sonu by Sky. Again, some very appropriate looking pulp fantasy there. This is DMR Publishing. Eye of Sonu by Skylar Hernstrom. Cover art by Brian LeBanc. Thanks, Bill. Little art by Skylar in there. That's probably not showing up, but a skull and a battle axe. Appropriate. We appreciate such things around here. So thank you very much, Sky. I am really looking forward to reading those. Those are going to be great additions to the library. There was one other thing, and it must have slipped out of the book. There it is. Because I saw it when I was pulling up the books, and I was like, hey, wait a second. We will add this to our sticker collection here on the show. A little vinyl sticker of a guy on a chopper there. So good stuff all around. I love the books. Sky, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the contribution to the show library. And I'm very, very, very much looking forward to reading those. But I will say, I will say that last year's summer reading list bled very furiously into this summer. Because last summer, my summer reading list last summer was Blood Music by Greg Bear, which is a fantastic science fiction novel. If you want something that's kind of like childhood's end, but isn't so damn depressing, but as is actually uplifting, like highly uplifting, it is like so sweet it makes my heart hurt level of good ending. But the ride to the good ending is terrifying. Like when you get to the end, I'm an emotional guy. You guys, it's like, I'll cry if you send me a set of dice. Okay. But the end of Blood Music, like makes me weepy in a good way, in a very good way. It's an emotional roller coaster and all that. So I hadn't read it in decades. So I read it last summer. And then I read the Sprawl trilogy by William Gibson. And then I said, okay, I'm going to read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. And then I'm going to read, do I have it to hand? No, I do not. I am going to read Future Noir, a book about the making of Blade Runner. And then my friend Jeremy got a hold of me and said, hey, I'm going to send you a copy of this David Foster Wallace book called A Supposedly Fun Thing That I'll Never Do Again. And so I said, I'll add that on to the summer reading. Well, The Lord of the Rings took a minute or two longer to read than I thought it would. I finished it a week and a half ago. So last summer's reading list has bled into this summer. So I've started Future Noir. I mean, I'm literally just a few pages into Future Noir. After Future Noir, the David Foster Wallace book, and then the fun stuff, which could be fall, because Future Noir is like this thick. And the David Foster Wallace book is like this thick. But definitely by this fall, Eye of Sonu and Thune's Vision. I'm really, really looking forward to those. I'm really legitimately looking forward to reading those. So yeah, that's what's going to be happening. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time reading stuff. So again, we thank Sky Hernstrom for these amazing books. I wish my bookshelves were organized quite well enough so that I could literally just turn around and just boom, just set these. But I think if I did that, I would either knock stuff over or I would put these up in such a precarious way that they would immediately fall over. And I don't want to damage anything that's on the shelf. And I certainly don't want these to fall to the floor and get dinged up. Greetings, Lord Corion. Hail and well met. Good to see you. As I told Dungeon Minister, how I am remains to be seen. How I am remains to be seen. It is a nice sticker, Damien. It really is. I'm going to have to find a good place to put it. I never suspected that I would be doing the big... Well, I mean, for you guys, it's big. You've never seen this. For me, it was a shift from about the 4 o'clock position to the 6 o'clock position. But at the 4 o'clock position, on the brick wall, there's a very nice, large Bards of Greyhawk sticker that is now stuck to the brick wall. Jeremy, send me more merch. Send me more merch. But, so I'm not going to stick the sticker that Skylar sent me someplace that I cannot move it. Like maybe I'll stick it to something and then have that sitting around. So it will be permanent, but not permanent. So yeah, yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And let's see what else. Well, we've got Gamma World tonight, of course. Let me do this. I feel like I'm sitting back, but not back. Like when you're on an airplane and you can move your seat back and it's like clunk. Ah, yes, that's better. So, whoops, wrong lever. There we go. Uncomfortable yet comfortable. So kind of feel like I'm sliding forward a little bit, but I also don't feel like I'm leaning uncomfortably back. If you're going to be in or around the Central Florida area tomorrow, truck on down to Gods and Monsters 7th anniversary Wingding Shindig Hoedown get together, because I'm going to be down there running RPGs. That's right. They've given me some table space, so I'm going to run some AD&D. I will take Space Hulk with me. I don't know that I'll have any takers on a Space Hulk shoot 'em up, but I'll have it there with me. And then in the evening, I'm going to run Tales from the Loop. You know, Donaldson has been on that list of I should read this guy's books for a while, but I haven't really. What's this one, Bill? I haven't really got to them yet. I had a friend, like as a gift once, they're like, oh, Bill likes fantasy novels. Here's one of the Karen Wynne Fonstad Atlas books. It's an atlas of the land, of the world of Stephen R. Donaldson, Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever books. And I'm like, I've never read these books ever. I mean, I didn't say that at the time. I was like, oh, this is cool. I had her Atlas of Pern, and I wish I had her Atlas of Middle Earth, but I had the one for Pern. I got it from the Science Fiction Book Club. But maybe I should give those a read one day. But today is not that day, because I've got a show to do. I've got stuff to talk to you guys about. So, speaking of the show, I thought this was funny. In probably the most futile gesture I have ever made. I mean, it's a futile gesture on the same scale as flicking off a 747 jumbo jet at max altitude in terms of, will they notice me, right? I got this survey from YouTube today. Hey, creator, take this survey. We want to know. And I let them have it. I was like, you demonetize my videos because of dad jokes that are, I mean, they're groaners, but they're not offensive. And yes, I know I say dirty words sometime on my videos. But I have an actual, legitimate, real pastor who watches my videos and doesn't give me any shit about it. But you guys will choke off the tiny bit of money that any one of the people responsible for the algorithm that screws me would spend 5 times on lunch for himself and another person. I think that's hilarious, don't you? So, yeah, I pointed all this stuff out. I hit very dissatisfied as often as I felt I legitimately could on YouTube's creator services. So we'll see what, if anything, comes of that. And I even said, like in my closing comments, I'm like, you know, I only just got 1,000 subs on my channel. I don't expect a real human being will look at this at all. So I don't know why I'm bothering, but here we are. But even if I had 100,000 subs, that would be nothing compared to the people that you consider money makers for you. If I had 100,000 subs on this channel and it filled out the same information, it would go into the same bit bucket. Dungeon Minister says, I'm just watching to gather material for sermons about sinful jokes. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, when I probably could have spent the time better today, I just was like, here's what I think. And when they, I got to say, you said this, you clicked these things. What could we do to improve this? And I was straight up. I said, look, enable it's just the simplest thing in the world. You want to incentivize people, enable super chats for everybody right from the get-go. You want more people making you more money? Enable super chats for everybody. You open up a YouTube channel, you get 5 subs. Let those 5 people super chat if they want to. After a month or something like that. But that's enough about YouTube. That's enough unhappiness of that kind. Let's talk about unhappiness of a different kind. Let's talk about A3, Assault on the AERIE of the Slave Lords. Let's talk about that module some, because that is a great, great module. And we're going to wrap it, I think in the time we've got left this evening. We're going to wrap it up. So let me share a screen here. Share screen. Okay. So if your players zigzag their way through A3, they explore Suderham, they manage to avoid the guards, they find their way into the sewers, and then into the dungeons under the Slave Lord's fortress and assault it there. Oh, I like that. Corian. I might have to do that. Then they get to square off against the Slave Lords, the council chamber of the Slave Lords. Now, if you're running this as a tournament, and you've continued past they get to X rooms and they max out, and you're just doing it for pleasure, the council chamber of the Slave Lords, you can run one of 2 ways. You can tell the players, you go in, it's like, have you ever played Half-Life? Half-Life is such an amazing game. Half-Life is hands down my favorite first-person shooter ever of all time. Nothing can beat Half-Life. There is a level in Half-Life. Your goal during the first act, as it were, of Half-Life, all the scientists you meet as the resonance cascade is going on in Black Mesa, and you're fighting soldiers sent in to cover up the disaster and so on. Your goal is to get outside of Black Mesa to the surface, where presumably you'll get outside the perimeter of the base and find some help. You go into a hallway, the lights shut off, and you hear a thump, 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 thump. And the next thing is your vision's fading in and you're being dragged away by a couple of the U.S. Marines sent in to wipe everybody out, to silence everybody. Damien says, Suderham sounds like a Southeastern Conference college football town. Well, I mean, Alan Hammock is a big, huge fan of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and he was homesick when he named Suderham. Anyway, so there at the end of the first act of Half-Life, you can't turn on God mode Like, they're not actually hitting you and knocking your hit points down to the point where, you know, it's just you go through and a scripted event starts. What this has to do with A3 is the same. If you're going to run A4 as a tournament module, you have to do the same no-win scenario to your players. You just say, you enter the council chamber, darkness is cast over you, you're all blasted by various spells, held, paralyzed, whatever, and then you wake up in A4. You have to. But if you're running this as a campaign, you can fight this battle out. But I think you'll find, even so, it's going to be a damn difficult fight. And let's look at why. So there's the slave lords. All right. Council chamber, to the council chamber. 5 internet points for the person who can tell me what that's from. This long corridor is well lit by many small oil lamps set into the wall. After about 100 feet, the corridor dead ends. The concealed door at the end of the corridor will be found after one round of searching. It can be opened easily by any member of the party. The door opens into a great room 70 feet by 70 feet by 40 feet high, lit by large torches set in wall sconces. There are 9 large throne-like chairs in a semicircle facing the concealed door. A large iron staircase spirals upward in the southwest part of the room. Every odd-numbered chair is occupied, 5 in all. Seated there are 5 large, dangerous-looking men wearing many jewels and fine robes. And for some, the glint of concealed armor can be seen. Tournament version. Outcome for room C9. Although the men are clearly laughing, no sound can be heard coming from the room. As the party observes the scene, the man sitting in the central throne, a fighter type with a black eye patch, gestures to an unseen henchman. Suddenly, a wall of stone drops 20 feet down the corridor, blocking any hope of retreat. The stone wall is impenetrable. If the characters try to move forward into the room, they will discover an invisible wall of force in a 10-foot radius hemisphere from the door. As you struggle to win free of this trap, a small panel in the ceiling opens and a vial of fluid is hurled against the floor. The vial shatters, releasing a thick green gas as the opening in the ceiling is hastily closed. Slowly, one by one, you fall to the ground unconscious, prisoners of the slave lords. That's what happens in the tournament version. Non-tournament version outcome for room C9. The 5 slave lords present have observed the party's progress by means of a crystal ball with clairaudience. They have spells and weapons ready and cannot be surprised. The slave lords are impressed with the party's tenacity and skill and view the coming battle with some amusement. This will change, however, as soon as one of the slave lords take damage. It will then become a fight to the death. The cleric Mordramo will prepare to use his word of recall in his ring of spell storing to escape. The DM must allow Mordramo to escape, for he appears again in module A4. Now I got to pump the brakes a little bit there, because I have said, and time and again, I don't like scenarios and modules that say so-and-so must survive for the module to work. But Alan wrote it that way, so let's go on. The thrones are numbered 1 to 9 in the DM's map. The magic user, Ajaxstu, sits in number 1. Nerylus the assassin is at number 3. Feetla, the fighter buccaneer, sits in throne number 5. Brother Millerjoy the monk is in seat number 7, and Mordramo, the evil high priest, is in seat 9. The DM should study the brief personality sketches of these slave lords, as these will influence their actions during the battle. So, right here, you're not just being given some powerful NPCs. DMs, read this section through. Read it through again, read it through again, read it through over and over. Don't just run these guys as cannons. Think logically about what they would do. If you want the capture outcome to come out of A3, you've got some homework to do. Run this battle as a solo affair just for yourself a few times. No, and I don't care if your mom comes in your bedroom and says, "Are you playing Dungeons and Dragons alone? How very, very sad." Just run through this scenario and get to grips with it and see what the players can throw at you. So Nerylus the Assassin is a silent, cunning fighter. As soon as a party appears, he'll sip a small amount of his potion of invisibility. Then he will sneak around until he gets a chance to backstab someone. After the area effect spells are finished, if not immediately engaged in melee, Nerylus will sip more of his potion and repeat the process. Feetla is just a badass fighter. Brother Miller Joy, a high-ranking monk from the Scarlet Brotherhood. He and his disciple, Brother Kieran, mysteriously appeared at the first council of the Slave Lords. It is an indication of the growing strength of the Scarlet Brotherhood that Brother Miller Joy was immediately accepted into the council. And then we have Mordramo, the chief priest of the Temple of the Earth Dragon. He's a strong enemy, but his self-preservation instinct is strong. He realizes that the attacking party could very well get lucky, so he has protection from good 10-foot radius set up before the party enters the room. As soon as he throws his flame strike, Mordramo will escape using his word of recall. Again, flame strike, then he's gone, then it's 4 slave lords. The men are laughing loudly. As the party observes this scene, a fighter type with a black eye patch sitting in the central throne gestures to an unseen henchman. Suddenly, a wall of stone drops 20 feet down the corridor, blocking any hope of retreat. A Jackstew has already expended his wall of force. Thus, the slave lords are forced into combat. Their recommended actions for each round are given below. However, the DM should use his or her good judgment. Remember, these are high-level intelligent characters and they will fight to their best advantage. And we're going to look at what they do real quick. So, round 1. A Jackstew throws slow. The first 6 characters are affected as soon as they appear. Mordramo now casts Flame Strike. Nerylus sips his potion of invisibility. Feetla hurls a throwing axe at one of the lead party members. Brother Millerjoy throws 2 of his daggers at the closest target. Round 2. A Jackstew throws a fireball targeted on the door behind the party. Previous experience has shown him that the burst from this point won't quite reach his seat, but will envelop the 9 squares in front of the door. Mordramo uses his word of recall from behind the safety of his throne. If a character is charging him, he will cast a blade barrier first, then exit. Nerylus maneuvers invisibility into position, but not into the 9 squares. These tactics have been previously discussed among the slave lords. Feetla fires a cocked heavy crossbow at a lead enemy. Brother Millerjoy hurls 2 more daggers. Round 3, a Jackstew uses his staff to fire magic missiles, 4 of them at the closest enemy. Nerylus backstabs a random target. Feetla engages in melee with the strongest fighter using his cutlass +2. Brother Millerjoy uses an open hand attack upon some target. And remember, he should also be striking to stun. Characters should be getting stunned from that. Roll that percentage. Round 4, a Jackstew fires 4 magic missiles. Nerylus attempts to sip a potion or will melee if engaged. Feetla continues to melee. Brother Millerjoy continues to use open hand attacks. Subsequent rounds, DM discretion using the above as guidelines. As you can see, the slavers are going to slap the party silly. Run these guys remorselessly, especially if you want to run A4. Now you might ask me, "Oh, Bill, what happens if I kill the party?" Remember, the slavers don't just want the party dead. They want information. You know, think about the prisoner. If they had wanted number 6 dead, they just would have poison gassed him right there in his house, and that would have been the end of it. Drag him over to the stove, turn the taps on, throw down a fake typed suicide letter. You're gone. And he would have been out of there. Out of there as in dead. But they didn't want that. They wanted information. We want information. You won't get it. We will. That's what the slave lords want from the party. Even if they kill them, the slave lords will resurrect the players. And you have to engage in a little bit of DM fiat to make the next chapter work by saying, yeah, some of you, if some party members did die, yeah, some of you died, but you're all raised and then questioned. And that's a tactic you can use anytime that you don't want. If you don't want a campaign to die because of a TPK. Monsters can always take prisoners. Well, I was knocked down to -4, or I was knocked down to -2, and then, was unconscious. Well, the monsters, these aren't orcs or ogres that are just going to eat you. These are led by a human captain or whatever. They want information. And that's what the slave lords want. So even a TPK here does not necessarily have to be. Jack Photon says, technically, I think the prisoner did that to himself. On another night, I would stop and we would have a good talk about the prisoner, because it is a fantastic piece of television, probably one of the best ever made. But we'll come back to that. So if the party loses, if the players lose this battle and the DM wishes to have them participate in Module A4, it can be assumed that Mordramo has returned and over several days has cast Raise Dead on all slain party members in order to torture and interrogate them. They will be carefully guarded as described in A4, and the DM may proceed with that module. Now, if the party wins, congratulations are due. That's quite a group of players there. The iron staircase leads up into the building B59, the slave lord stronghold in the hidden city, map B. If the party tries to go this way, they will almost certainly be killed or captured. If they do not, they must still escape the catacombs, the town, and the vengeance of the surviving slavers. If the players are to participate in Module A4, the DM should arrange to have them captured at some point and raised as necessary. The prisoners are interrogated and guarded as described in Module A4. The DM may then proceed with a new adventure. Now, I would say that if the party fights past this, then it is entirely possible that you could cut the ending third off of A4 and paste it in. You skip the dungeons, you just go straight to the escape and the fighting of other slave lords and so on. You'd have to make some adjustments, but you could make it work. But this statement here from Mr. Hammock, congratulations are due. That's quite a group of players there. Yeah. DMs. This is the point at which you need to stick the knife in and break it off. This battle is designed to end the players. Play hard. Play this encounter as hard as you ever have. I would say that this fight with the 5, then 4 slave lords, for the level party it is that you're going in against, is as tough and dramatic as anything in the G or D or even Q series. That's my feeling on this. This is a tough adventure. And if the party wins, even if there's one character left breathing, all the slave lords and the other players are all dead, well, that's still a win. Granted, it's a Soviet attrition campaign style win, but it's still a win, you know? So up to that point, that is A3. And it is a bear of a module. Just based on that fight alone. I mean, the party may even relax some in the town. Hey, we're moving without, everything's cool. The slave lords know where they're at. They're keeping an eye on them. They're toying with them. So I do recommend that if you're going to run this module, you play it very brutally, extremely brutally. But with that said, again and again, if your players win, they win. They carried the day. Congratulations. If it's one thief with 2 hit points left and 4 slave lords are lying dead, then God bless him, he gets out of there. I mean, he might even be able to administer a healing potion to a character who's been dropped to negative hit points. They're comatose for 6 turns, 1d6 turns, and then they help him slowly, painfully drag the fallen away. Oh, and good luck calculating all the XP for these guys. So that concludes A3. Here's the slave lords, just in case you're wondering. Fitla, the fighter, 90 hit points. Remember, this is 4th to 7th level. Fitla has more hit points than Loth, and almost as good an armor class when in human form. Nerolust is an assassin of 7th level. He's not going to miss. 58 hit points. Mordramo, neutral evil 11th level cleric, 52 hit points. A Jackstew 9th level magic user. Brother Millerjoy, 9th level monk. That's just bad news, guys. And I mean, when you look at, Brother Millerjoy is 9th level, which means he takes no damage with successful saves and only half damage when a saving roll is failed. Haha, I cast lightning bolt. Haha, he dances aside. And look at what they've got. Fitla, chain and shield of +2, a cutlass +2, treated as a scimitar. And he's attacking twice every round. Nerolus, longsword and dagger. Oh, and a dagger of venom. Venom type C, 35 hit points. 1 stab and your character can go down from that. Well, Fitla might have a preternaturally high con. And we can look at that. Let's see. Yeah, he's got a con of 16. Mordramo, Mace, Ring of Protection, Ring of Spell Storing with Word of Recall. He won't be that in, you know, won't be that involved. A Jack Stew had the spells he cast were just all 9th level from his Ring of Spell Storing: Dispel Magic, Fireball, Shocking Grasp, Slow, and Wall of Force. Then you've got all the spells you can throw, which I think is 4, 3, 2, 1 on the spell. Somebody check me on that. So you just come up with a spell book for Mordramo. They are very tough NPCs and more than a match for the NPC or for the PCs. This is just some food for thought, guys. This is a tough module. Play it accordingly. Well, it's a tough fight in the module, I should say. Play it accordingly. These are tough NPCs. And going into the next act, as it were, trying to reach the surface of the Black Mesa research facility. With that said, I think there should be some expectations laid out by the dungeon master for the players to, you know, if you're playing a home campaign, the worst thing you can ever do, well, any other campaign, the worst thing you can ever do is say, guys, don't worry about it. You're not going to lose this fight. Or if you lose this fight, you know, I almost feel like with the A series, the second the fight's over, you need, if the player's lost, you need to launch into the preamble for the 4th module. You need to kind of cushion that blow so people aren't making other plans, rolling up new characters, nattering you about, hey, can we start this BattleTech crossover mashup that I've been planning on running? Just say, look, there, when you awaken, not to take the excitement and sting out of the battle, but just to keep things rolling. And it's the only it's the only time in AD&D I think that you as a DM should do that. If there's if you in your wisdom as a DM think, you know, really all the drow want are gross, disgusting body trophies, and the party gets wiped out by a drow patrol in D2, the curtain comes down. We're going to roll up new characters and start playing In Search of the Unknown or Keep on the Borderlands or Village of Hamlet, because this little adventure just ended. You know, you don't give them any expectation of, well, they want you alive, so they'll bring you back to life. So, you know, we'll just keep going, you know, auto save before an event, so to speak. But this is one case where if you want to play the next module, and it is kind of railroady, unfortunately, because the first 2 modules are not very railroady at all, but the join between this and A4 is pretty railroady, and I am dead set against railroady modules. But just kind of keep the vibe going, keep it moving forward. That's my 2 cents. That's my hot take on it. So that's A3. Now, we've got about 45 minutes before we hop into tonight's Gamma World game, when we can just kind of shoot the breeze a little bit. But next week we're going to jump into A4. I'm going to jump into a glass of cold water, though, here just a second. If you guys can bear with me. Let me see. I'm going to try something. When I come back, you guys tell me if you hear any music playing. Let's see. I'll be right back. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to the save zone. Random encounters can't get you here. Save, load, drink beer, exit. Nice. So what are your thoughts then? Have you played A3 as a player, or have you run it as a DM? What are your thoughts? I want to hear. I want you guys to speak up and let me know. Lord Corion's got the right of it there. Again, for my money, I think it's a fine module. That fight at the end that has to be lost by the players, I don't think has to be lost. I think there's I think there's a sense of DIY that kicks into place if the players do win. And the whole, well, if they go up in the castle, they'll be slaughtered. Will they? Flesh that out, DMs. I think you should flesh it out. Mike says, I ran it long ago, never got to the end. Peace Ivers loves the series. Thank you very much. Corion says, I plan to after this series of videos, never ran it before. Awesome. That's great. It is definitely worth your time. And I think you'll find A4 is too. We were talking about The Prisoner a few minutes ago. Jack Photon touched on something, and I want to take a few minutes to talk about The Prisoner just because I really like the series. So Patrick McGowan, now this, there are much more learned people when it comes to The Prisoner than I. They can tell you a million subtle things about the show that through my multiple viewings I never picked up on. If the party wins, can they become the new robber barons of Suderim? I mean, they could become benevolent despots if they didn't want if they wanted to depose the slave lords but not be slavers themselves, they could certainly take over Suderim. I mean, having deposed the slave lords and put an end to the slaving raids, they might get effectively given the keys to the city by their sponsors who sent them on the adventure in the first place. But to the prisoner, so Patrick McGoohan was in a spy thriller series before The Prisoner called Danger Man, which was kind of a James Bond come and I'm going blank here. I'm trying to remember the one with Robert Vaughn. Man from Uncle. Was Man from Uncle Robert Vaughn? Anyway, it was a spy espionage series in the 1960s. Those were pretty popular on TV. But McGoohan stated, because we never know what number 6's real name is. I can't remember the name of his character in Danger Man. But a lot of people said, the show starts right after Danger Man ended. Is this the same guy? And he was always very coy about it. But I think at some point he just flat out said, yes, you can assume that this is the main character from Danger Man. He quit the intelligence service, and this is why. Or this is what happened to him. Jack Photon says, get yourself to Port Miron. I'm so broke I can't even pay attention, Jack. But that would be nice. That would be nice. John Drake, thank you. Yes, Jack Photon. Danger Man was John Drake. So, Patrick McGoohan basically said, yeah, that's John Drake from Danger Man. And he basically gets put in this place. He's too dangerous. Like all the knowledge he has in his head, he's too dangerous to just leave walking around. And the intelligence service wants to know why he quit. Which I thought he would have explained pretty clearly. I mean, when the prisoner starts and he walks in and he's raging and he's pounding on the desk so hard it breaks the teacup of the official he's talking to and he slams a note down on the desk, I would think that would be pretty clearly explained. My wife loves the UK, so yeah, that might be a thing to do one day. So, I think I should back up a little bit. If you're not familiar with The Prisoner, if I keep saying The Prisoner, and you're like, the prisoner of what? Prisoner of Zenda? What? The Prisoner is kind of an espionage TV show that came on in the UK in the 1960s, and it concerns a spy, possibly John Drake, who rather abruptly and angrily quits the British intelligence service, goes home, starts packing his bag. He's clearly, based on like some flyers he's made travel arrangements to just travel the world, and knockout gas seeps into his room. He wakes up in the village of, the village. It's just called the village. I read Azkaban. Yeah. And everybody is distressingly polite. And nobody has names. Everybody has numbers. He's referred to as number 6. and they want information. And he's not sure why they want information or what information they want. But as the series progresses, he finds more and interesting ways to thwart the administrators of the place, referred to as number two. And every time he does, that person is never seen again. There's a new number two in the next episode. And it just goes on and on like this. And there are episodes that border on just mind-bendingly surreal. Some are fairly just espionage related. There are some where there is an episode where he actually escapes the island. He makes it out. And I love it because there's no dialogue. He tells him where, based on information, he thinks the island is. And so he and an RAF pilot, they're like, okay, they basically very clearly say, you're going to fly a reconnaissance flight. We're going to make sure the island where the village is where you say it is. And then we're going to, Jack knows what I'm talking about. Many happy returns. You're going to go, we're going to get photo evidence of this. The guy in the airplane with him, agent of the village, ejects the co-pilot seat, the reconnaissance officer's seat. He lands in the sea near the village. They drag him right back in and start the whole horror show over again. Cobb, yes, chimes of Big Ben. But the whole show is bent on some unknown organization. He's never sure if it's the enemy, implied to be the Eastern Bloc, or if it's his own government. Until the last two episodes, which, I mean, it just depends on what fan theory, who you talk to, which interview with Patrick McGoohan, as to whether or not the ending is a true ending, whether or not the ending was yet another charade created by the village to try and get at number 6, or did number 6, John Drake, finally have a mental breakdown, which would explain some hints of the surreality of it. And we don't know. And it got to the point after the last two episodes didn't satisfy the viewers. I mean, you think people get mad now about not getting endings to TV shows by organizing little campaigns to send, packages of snack food or what have you to TV execs? No. People were calling up McGoohan, threatening him to give them a proper response. My dream is to see the world as the village and the village as the world. What's your dream? To be the first person to live on the moon. Yeah. Now, DC Comics in the 90s released a sequel to the Prisoner, essentially a direct sequel, with the idea that basically the events of like 4/5 of the conclusion of the show happened as we saw them on TV with the exception being that the last little bit was John Drake having a nervous breakdown, everybody else fleeing the island, and him staying behind. He basically stayed at the village. As he put it, they were free to leave, and I was free to stay. Yeah, we're in a total surveillance society. We are now in something that is very much like the village. More so in England than here, but yeah. But Patrick McGowan was still with us at the time. In fact, he'd gotten some great cinema roles since then. He played Edward Longshanks in Braveheart. He was the warden in Escape from Alcatraz. Went blank there. But Patrick McGowan had always been kind of wishy-washy on how he felt about the DC Comics series. And he said, it's not my ending, but it's a good ending. I accept it for what it is. I accept it as a very high-quality interpretation and a possible ending of The Prisoner, which I think is a fairly good compliment, They certainly treated it better than, say, Kathleen Kennedy and Disney treated Star Wars. Can you imagine if they had just done just a few things differently to get a compliment like that from George Lucas, other than George Lucas saying effectively in a virtual fan event, yeah, there's 6 Star Wars movies. I don't know what universe these happen in. So if you don't know The Prisoner, look for it on a streaming service and watch every episode of it. Don't watch the 2000, was it just the year 2000 or 2000, 2004, something like that, A&E series. Now I'll say this, the 2004 A&E series, if you just throw away any connection to The Prisoner, is a pretty good thriller, sci-fi, whatever, but it just has no real connection to The Prisoner. Dungeon Minister says it's alarming how much of our privacy we've handed over in exchange for some online gizmos. Yes, yes, it is. Now, consider a couple of weeks ago when I made that joke about only these things. A human was not watching that video. A human did not watch that video. A robot, an artificial intelligence, processed my video, listened to every word, and heard only, and it made a decision. It made an ethical decision about my ability to make money. And I let it do that. I let it do that. And it was only because I smashed the machine with the heel of my boot and dislodged something inside it that a human intervened. If I was weaker of spirit, I might have just said, okay. And enough people do that they keep doing it. If everybody told them to stop doing it, they'd stop. Jack says, it's not about caring, it's about knowing and understanding what's really being done under the hood and those in power. Damien says, I play 5e again before watching Disney Star Wars again, just not Strixhaven. Well, we just finished a few minutes ago, Luther, talking about A3, we wrapped up the big slam bang fight in A3. We're going to jump into the deep dive on A4 next week. And then, because you asked for it, Luther, we are going to, after A4, which may take all of next week, we're going to deep dive into S3, because I know you want to hear that one. And then we'll do the other S's in orders. We'll do S1, S2, and S4. But now we have some time to kill before we play. I almost said Twilight 2000. Twilight 2000 is what happens like 200 years before Gamma World. But we're going to play some Gamma World in a little bit. Just about a half an hour. The S series, yes. The special modules, which are weird. They're weird because... So Tomb of Horrors, S1, special module. White Plume, it ostensibly takes place in Greyhawk, but you can chuck that down anywhere. White Plume Mountain, a little bit more Greyhawky. S2. S3, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Well, you could rename a mountain range in any D&D campaign, Barrier Peaks, and chuck the module there. But S4 is where things get weird. And things get weird with S4 because S4 should not be S4. S4 should be WG3. That's right. See, T1, Village of Hamlet, should be WG1. Gary was running a set of, or was planning a very specific set of modules coded to, like, hard knit into the fiber of the world of Greyhawk. So WG1 was to be the Village of Hamlet. I think you can find some catalog information that still refer to it as WG1. WG2 was to be the Temple of Elemental Evil. WG3 was to be Lost Caverns of Sojkonth. WG4, Forgotten Temple of Tharizdun. And then WG5, WG6. But because of all kinds of issues and so on, we got T1, then the T1 to 4, because Frank Mentzer has a limited vocabulary. And then poor S4, instead of getting bumped up to WG1, got just called S4. And then the WG series starts with WG4. So instead of making Tharizdun S5 and WG5 S6 and WG6 S7, we got the WG series just starting with module code 4. It's very strange. It's very weird. If you don't know that, well, now you know that. The S series was wild, and it was TSR taking chances. But I maintain S4 should not be in there. S4 is a backbone Greyhawk module. S4 is a backbone Greyhawk module. It should be outside the S series. Not because it isn't good and not because it's better than the S series, but the S series should have been just what you say there, Luther. It should have been reserved for stuff that was TSR taking chances. And S4 is a wild adventure in terms of being a guilt treasure hole. But it really, really shouldn't be part of that special series. What makes the S series special, I mean, let's just talk about this for a minute. S4 or the S1, the Tomb of Horrors. I mean, nothing quite draws the mind in for anybody who has just a passing knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons than the Tomb of Horrors. Everybody knows about the Great Green Devil Face, the skull that can suck your soul out, the insane traps. I mean, there's 4 battles in the whole module, and 2 or possibly 3 of those are wholly avoidable. The entire module is taking your time and picking your way through traps and not touching anything, very carefully probing ahead every step as you explore. But it's something beyond what the average player might expect. S4 or S2 is the ultimate funhouse dungeon. It's even got the barrel hall, you know. It's got the flesh golems with the riddles. It's got a turnstile. It's got it's got a riddling gynosphinx. It's got the frictionless room. It's got the menagerie. You know, I could just go on and on and on and on. It is a trip. And I mean, S3 is Gygaxian weirdness at its best. A crashed spaceship, high-tech weapons and technology for the characters to get their hands on, alien life forms that are unlike anything they've ever had to fight. And after all of those, to get to S4 and find just a rock solid foundational D&D adventure after, I mean, imagine if you went to Disney. You had 4 days, 4 full days to go to Disney. You go to Magic Kingdom. You go to Epcot, which is a little boring, but whatever. You go to Disney Studios. You ride all these rides. And your last day, you're going to go to Animal Kingdom. And you go to Animal Kingdom, and it's literally just a nature preserve. It's educational. You learn all about animals. Not even exotic animals. Florida animals. Alligators, otters, wild boars, black bears. All sorts of snakes. Wild birds. Different types of fish. Manatees. You see what I'm saying? It's not boring, but it's D&D getting back into its lane. A dungeon crawl. There's a dragon. Well, it'll be here, but it is purebred D&D. And I mean, there are some wow, gotcha level things in there. I mean, you know, there's the Bar Lagura, the demons. There's Drelsna herself, Igwil's prize, and all the treasure to be gained doing that. But they don't. I've tried moose and beaver. The former is a little chewy. but it's not what you expect when you've played the S series and you're like, okay, we played S1. Those, total party kill 2/3 of the way through S1. S2, what a romp. Are you believing, John made a girlfriend out of the Gynosphinx, and that's crazy. And, we lost 2 characters to Cinemir, the vampire, and, what is it? 5 people died in the mud pits and so on. And S3, we left with power armor and laser guns. Those of us that made it out alive didn't get, turned into ash by radioactive mold. But then you get to S4 and it's like, you have a mission that is important to the survival of Greyhawk. When you've been expecting that, White Plume Mountain is possibly problematic in that once the 3 magic items are acquired, the characters are going to want to keep them. We did the last playthrough I did, the party, one of the party members did keep Black Razor and disappeared, and the player rolled up another character. That was Josh Ford who did that. His chaotic neutral half-orc fighter cleric kept Black Razor and disappeared. But they figured the reward would be definitely worth turning Wave and Whelm over, so they did that. Those 2 characters elected to do that. Yep. Moonwalking that. No, this Josh Ford, like the car. He plays D&D with us Monday night. We have a lot of fun. There is there's effectively a soul draining sword, and I can't remember what it's called now, in the Elder Scrolls game, but it always made me think of Black Razor. Let me see. Umbra, that's it. Umbra, which of course means shadow. And I believe it was Alan Hammock. No, it was not Alan Hammock, but to get through the S series, you need to have a needle or pistol on your hip and Black Razor strapped to your back and 2 puncture marks on your neck from drills. Now, I like it. But yeah, no, the author of White Plume Mountain, and this is going to bug me now. Let's see. Lawrence Schick, straight up said that, that Black Razor was based on Stormbringer. And I can't imagine that Umbra wasn't based on Stormbringer also. That is the sword in the Elder Scrolls games, Umbra. Which, it's a little different in the Elder Scrolls games, in case it matters to anyone. You have to have a soul gem large enough to contain the soul of the thing that you kill with Umbra. And in the case of a sentient person, it has to be a so-called black soul gem. But anyway, yes, he straight up stated that he based Black Razor on Stormbringer. It is a 9 lives stealer. Elric of Melnibone. You know, it's funny. I was talking about Elric the other day on YouTube, and I made the comment that when I was a kid, when I was 13, 14, and a buddy of mine, Brad Toney, introduced me to Elric. Now, I had seen Elric listed in the list of, recommended reading for D&D Appendix N. I had said, oh yeah, I should read those one day. And Brad was very much, hey, you need to read these. So I got them through the Science Fiction Book Club. I got the lovely double day editions of what was called the Elric Sagas, which takes us through the 6, is it 6 or 8? No, I think it's 6 books where we meet Elric and he's completely debased and degenerate, all the way up to the point where he's fighting chaos in the name of law, but of course still has Stormbringer. And when I was a kid, it was like, oh, these are wonderful. And I read them, that was like my summer read was that. And then, went back through and read them again and again. And then I read the Chronicles of Corum, and there's another one, the Silver Warriors, which is kind of a standalone, which I went back and read that. I actually think the Silver Warriors was part of, maybe that kicked off my summer reading last year, or I read it before I just said straight up, okay, well, I'm going to do, I'm going to do a summer reading list. But I read the Silver Warriors. And the Sturm und Drang of the Elric novels ultimately just kind of left me a little flat as an adult. I would much rather read the poetic majesty of the Lord of the Rings, or if I want sword and sorcery, Conan, or just Fafhrd and Grey Mouse are having fun, whoring around and getting into sword fights and getting drunk and high and waking up broke and doing it all over again over the course of a couple of months, and traipsing off to Quarmal and having adventures in ancient Babylon, and then coming back to Lankmar, and just, I would much rather read those than Elric. I'm not saying that the Elric sagas are bad or that I hate them, but just by preference, I just don't know that I would go back and reread them now. Just a little too much angst. Damien says, on Earth, are there any other major magical factions the party interact with without getting in trouble with the law? What do you mean by major magic factions? Expand on that. And I will answer the question for you. I mean, there are Sages Guild, there's the Gellers, who are bards, and the bards certainly dip into magical things. There's druidical circles. Oh yeah, of course. Magic users guilds, and I mean priesthoods use arcane magic as much as magic users do, just different effects, different outcomes. But ultimately, it's still magic. But, the druids are very, very, very highly considered. Luther says, The Witcher character is a ripoff of Elric. I've watched part of one episode of The Witcher. It didn't set the world on fire for me. So, I don't know. And it's also been 25 years, 26. I don't remember how long it's been since I've read the Elric novels, so I'll take your word for it. But in every major city, if you think about it, Damien, there's everybody who has to level has to pay fees or dues or tithes or pay a teacher. And that's true of magic users and illusionists. So surely there would be official organizations of them. Luther says, I don't play first edition. Well, that's a shame, Luther. Didn't druids have to challenge a higher level? At a certain point. At a certain point. It is, as my player who actually plays a fairly high-level druid now says it, that Highlander thing. But then monks have to also. Monks also have to. If a party makes it out of the spaceship at the barrier peaks, because they drop off a spare power armor at one of these academies and see if the university could replicate the effects with magic. I mean, they could. What an individual DM does in their campaign is up to them. Bill Sylvie, would handle things very possibly very differently from you or Luther or Jack or anybody in the chat. So your mileage may vary. Well, it is almost 9:30. It's almost time to start our wonderful Gamma World game. We certainly hope we have a good group tonight. So we have some folks swirling and twirling there in the back room. We'll play for a little while if just a couple of folks are here, but I do want to take a minute. This is the thing that I do where I say thank you to some folks who have elected to support the show directly with donations. And so let me just take a moment to say a very special thanks to Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky Maru, Mobius, Kevin Reynolds, Doomsword Deathmaster, Mark Simpson, Damien247, James F. Keck, William Smith, the Dungeon Minister, Manny Wall, Mark Corey, Kevin Wood, Todd Sharp, Carnivore Farmer. Is he a carnivore who farms? Does he farm carnivores? I don't know. Rob, you know I can't say that, Julius. Jeremy Rule, Boganora, Mikey Mank, Sky Hernstrom. That's right. This Sky Hernstrom. And Pete Sullivan. Pete, thank you so much for joining the group. And if you're just stopping by, if you're new to the live streams, then please do consider clicking that subscribe button. Click the bell icon for notifications if you do that too, would you? And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. But give us some feedback below so I can know what to do to better entertain you. Hey, our third player just teleported in there. If you survive and are not killed by veg pygmies or frog and hemoth or a crazy-ass robot. Watch your hyphen there, Luther Pendragon. Is that a crazy-ass robot or a crazy-ass robot? So with that said, let us welcome in our group and bid a big irradiated hello to Gerg, Bobungo, and Rex Dashington.
Hello there.
You man among men.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
So, are you gentlemen ready to get your Gamma World on?
Indeed.
Ooh, yeah.
All righty.
Was that Macho Man?
Whoa, yeah,
You know it, brother.
brother. Oh, that's Hulk, isn't it?
It's a mix of the two.
Yeah. Go into Gamma World. Gonna irradiate your characters. Whoa, yeah. All right. So, Lord Corion, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat donation. And he warns you all that you need to get ready to get irradiated. That's right. $5 for a little bit of radiation. I think we can hit him with some beta waves. If you guys want to see gamma waves or some straight up ionizing neutron radiation, of course, you just let me know. But anyway, to move forward, what are your plans, adventurers? You had found the method of turning off security robots. You managed to not blow up the reactor that powers the base of the ancients, which now serves as a stronghold for the forces of order and organization. And you had taught your lady robot friend some things on how to maintenance the base. She is now rapidly absorbing that information, but thoroughly absorbed in that information.
I think we talked about doing some exploration in the surrounding vicinity, I believe, around the base.
I think so.
All right. So where are you going to and what are you going to do? Because you do have your car, although it is, remember, it requires an atomic battery and can function for up to 20 hours on an atomic battery, or it can slowly trickle recharge with just a little bit of solar power.
Okay.
Do we still want to find those clothes-eating guys?
We could. I mean,
At one point, we wanted to tell them where their dead friend was.
oh, you're thinking of the two-headed guys.
The Orlan.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Orlan.
Yes.
As far as you're aware, Orlan do not eat clothes, but
We could go look for them, look for their encampment, their village, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it was down south somewhere.
Okay. I guess we could go exploring for that. I think we had an extra atomic battery in the trunk of the vehicle, so.
Yeah, where we keep the spare tire.
Sounds good to me.
Do we have solar chargers with the vehicle, or do we have to plug them in at the base?
so the bubble car, they recharge themselves as long as 10 hours out of each 72 are spent in direct sunlight, Earth orbit or less. An atomic energy cell will last for 24 hours of constant use. 24 hours of constant use. So,
I believe we had one in the trunk of the old car that we had. And then I think we traded for one with the Exelixidil, whatever his name is, the actual creature that eats clothing. I think he gave us one or something to that effect. I can't remember. It's been a while since we played that one.
I think that was the Yexel. Yeah.
Yeah.
The very nice, genteel Southern Yexel.
Yeah.
Hattie be y'all.
So we should be able to move around for at least a couple of days while the original battery's charging or whatever.
Yes.
What we need to do is capture a blight and then put it in a cylinder on top of the solar panel.
A big glass jar, like a big mason jar, put him in it.
That damn straight. Exactly that. Yes.
You know, Gerg, I was thinking you can make a flash of light, right?
Gerg.
Maybe we can try to
Yes, Gerg.
turbocharge. Maybe we could try to turbocharge the solar panels.
Anything's possible. I guess he'll give it a shot. Can we flash the solar panels with my light generation?
Sure, you can give it a try.
Okay, I'll climb up there and give it a blink and a nod.
Okay. You're not sure if you're not the right wavelength of light or whatever, but you don't really notice an appreciable change.
Okay, I'll come down and kind of shrug my shoulders, like, "Meh, give it a try."
Good try, Gerg. I'll give him a little pat on the back.
I think it helped. You should do it more often.
What if I sit up there and repeatedly do it for a while?
This is now what I do.
James rolled a new character up because his old character just sits in a baby seat that they bolted to the top of the bubble car. It just strobes all day long.
Roll for epilepsy.
I'm kidding.
I guess we need to gather some supplies just to take with us, food and water and stuff like that.
So in the base, do we have excess material or food or whatever that we could either trade with them or maybe gift them or something?
Let's see. Are you looking for useful items or just stuff?
I mean, as I recall, the Orland's kind of like crap. So whatever doesn't seem particularly, whatever doesn't seem useful, but stuff that they might like.
I mean, when it comes to crap that doesn't seem useful, there are metric tons of it in the base. Like, it may be useful, but you cannot determine what use it might have. You know, it's like, well, it's a plastic cube. What does it do? We have no idea.
Hey, maybe we could go back down in the lower levels and get those crates of MREs. They might find those enjoyable. Who knows?
Would it be a bad idea if we took some of those robots that we destroyed, take the armaments off them, and just sold the robot body parts to them?
Works for me.
We could do this without having to put him in a bathtub with ice.
Oh, God. Written in binary on the wall. You are missing your primary motivator circuit.
Exactly. Damn
All
straight.
in 1 month.
Yeah, I guess we'll dismantle some of the broken robots, and get all the armament off of them and load them up into the bubble car.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of space. The bubble car comfortably seats 20, and as big as these robots are, you can lay them flat in the basically open space between seats and whatnot. Someone humorously wrote $10 super equals 100 MREM dose for each character. Oh, that was me. But all kidding aside, yes, you can absolutely load. I mean, there's seating for 20. How many shut down or destroyed robots do you want to take?
There weren't very many, I think. We shut down 2 down on the last trip down. I think we destroyed.
That is correct.
I think we destroyed 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
The time before that.
Yeah.
There's elevator parts too.
Well, and one of them was a med robot, so maybe there's something useful on that too.
Maybe
Well,
they'll have elevator parts for us.
Hey, there we go. So I guess we'll dismantle the destroyed robots, get any good parts, and kind of save them for our own usage.
All right.
Is there a weapon I can use that might be a little more reliable than this? Well, on my sheet I have question mark quality rifle because I don't think it was a very good quality rifle. It's in poor shape. So I don't have to stab stuff with a sword or a spear.
Of course, Baranga, we have many laser rifles for you to choose from.
I'll take anything that has range.
All right. You can be. Do you have the knowledge to use a laser weapon?
Probably not.
Start rolling some dice. They hand you the big shiny cylinder with a spade grips underneath it.
I was like, hey, can I get some guidance on this before I start pulling switches and pulling levers?
So Rex will move way to the back of the room behind some crates, and then he'll start giving instructions from back there.
I'll give you a +1 because he's instructing you. I'm sorry. Well, I guess it would be a -1.
-1. So that puts me at 0. Perfect.
Okay, yeah. So you flip it on. 3 little green dots light up on the perpendicular to the length of the thing. Go ahead and make another roll.
Die 10, right?
Yes.
Okay. 5.
Okay, the 3 green lights wink off. There is 1 green light in the middle of the 3 that is still on. You think you're almost there.
Okay. I try to point it in a direction that isn't by anybody that I care about, which is these guys at least. So 4.
A 4 total with the -1 included.
Well, I have a +1, so it's 4 + 0. I have an actual. Well, actually, it's +2 on. Yeah, I have no sensory nerve endings, so.
Oh, right. How much pressure on the trigger?
So it's 6 and 5, but I get a +1 instead, so it should be 6 and 5. Yep. Yeah.
So you still arrived there, and so you made your next roll, and you rolled a 7, right?
A 6.
A 6. Okay. Yeah. You're not quite sure if you're squeezing the spade grip too tight or what. You can give me another roll.
Oh, geez, 9.
Ooh.
Okay. All the green lights wink off and turn blue.
Safe, I assume. Why do they have safeties? Just pull the lever.
Find out.
6.
Nothing changes.
This is the way it goes. 4.
Okay, there is a clatter and a box about 2 centimeters wide, 4 centimeters deep, and 7 centimeters long falls out of the bottom of the gun.
Oh, it even drops free. Perfect. I pick it up and try to put it back.
Yeah, it just clicks back in place.
Good. Okay. I nothing left for me there. 4 again.
Okay, you are back to the row of 3 green lights where you were when you started.
7.
Oof.
Okay, you're good.
Nothing happened.
You get it. Yeah, nothing bad happens, and you get it to the next stage.
So anything where I could end the statement with "and nobody died" is actually
And nobody
okay.
died, exactly.
5.
Okay, you've got the one ready green light on again.
4. That was a 3 + 1.
Nothing changes.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. 2. That's the lowest I can roll.
Okay, the green light winks off, and you now have a circle of red light floating just above where the green lights were. That if you look at it, there's a little dot right in the middle.
Oh, nice.
You have a peep sight on your a holographic peep sight on your laser rifle, and it is ready to fire. You now know that you point the hollow end at somebody, and you pull the trigger, and whatever you're pointing it at goes away.
Okay, so I do I have to do that to know that? Do I have to actually pull the trigger? I'm comfortable knowing that I could just pull the trigger.
Yes, that is now what you
Okay.
now know. You know
Okay.
you know which levers to flip in preparation for pulling the trigger. So
Yeah. So there's a grip safety and a thumb safety and yeah, okay.
all right, so you now know how to use an energy weapon.
Okay, anything special about this that I need to document that isn't just whatever it is in the rules?
No.
Okay, perfect. I'll just copy that data out of there.
Did the base have a store of like energy clips and such for these types of weapons, or was it just what we collected from the Brotherhood?
It's just what you collected from the Brotherhood, found in cabinets here and there. I mean, a lot of the people now running around the base are from Goodwater because they decided to move here because cool air always comes from these holes in the wall, and it's like, some of the Knights of Genetic Purity who decided not to be homicidal, racist maniacs, are having a hard time telling some of the people from Good River that you can't hit the shiny box with a lever to make it do what you want it to. So yeah, no, there's no like organized on the level of like having a massive armory or anything like that.
Okay.
Although Barango, there were a couple extra plasteel suits, if that's an upgrade for armor.
Okay, I have, what do I have? I have an AC of 2.
Oh, well, that's pretty good then.
Yeah, I got security armor that we took off
Oh.
in one of the original, like the first or second session. So
Nice.
Let's see. Yeah, security armor is
with a shield.
okay. So yeah, you have a riot shield, and where is it? Come on. Where is it? Oh no, that's the notes section. That's not. Ah, there we go. Okay, so powered plate and plastic armors, powered alloy, energized inertia, powered scout and battle armors, and powered attack and assault armors are 3, 2, and 1 respectively. So you add a shield to that, and just like D&D.
Yep. Except for now, but yes. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. What next?
Well, we have our trade goods, and we have, equipment, I guess. How far are we going out?
I don't think we ever knew.
Yeah, you guys are seeking out new life and new civilization and boldly going where no mutant has gone before.
Oh, okay. Well, then.
Yeah, I think we just knew it was south.
Yeah.
Follow the highway south.
Okay.
Alrighty. Hang on. Asking me a question in private here. Okay, so Gerg, you're able to work the pedals while you tell somebody, what to do and how to help you fly.
Okay.
You're going along you're following the ancient highway south, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you fly for a few hours. Are you just going to firewall the throttle? How fast are you going to go? Couple 100 kilometers an hour?
Yeah, we don't want to like burn through the batteries and everything too early. So we'll take it easy and just kind of keep our eyes open and see what's below.
Okay.
Question: is there a sunroof? Can this become a convertible car?
Gerg, you have figured out how to work it with the touch of a button. You can make panels dim to the point that you can almost not see out of them, or so transparent that if it wasn't for the 200 years of grime, you would just be able to you feel like you could just stick your hand out.
Okay, I'll transfer that information to Rex and let him handle that.
And by each door and window, there's a knob to do this with. So you can do it for all windows with one control, or they can go back and screw with the doors. And then I get to start making dice rolls and see who blows himself out into the open air. This button, not that.
Well, Rex would like to feel some wind in his hair.
Really?
Okay. I mean, not too much wind. If we're going too fast, no. But if we're doing like a casual 60 miles an hour or something, then
you'll have to ask your pilot how fast you're going. Gerg, how fast are you going?
I guess we'll do a casual 60 miles an hour.
Okay. All right. Then it's going to take you a few hours before you see anything interesting. Let's see. Grab my dice here.
as we fly along, I will point out and laugh at the mutant plants that can attack us.
A 200-meter tall mutant redwood grabs you, puts all of its seeds into you, and this becomes body horror Gamma World. As if the what was it, the Zeeth wasn't body horror enough. Yeah, come closer. Up, teleported my plants inside of you.
Yeah. How far can they teleport those? I'd like to go higher than that.
Information that the Zeeths. 20 meters. 20 meters. So the lesson here is fight Zeeth from 30 meters away. Okay. You don't encounter anything, no Blash come up to meet you. So Rex, you're gonna screw with the door, huh?
The windows. The
Okay.
windows, not the door. Not going to open the door for extra, just the window.
Are there windows or is it window? Is it a dome, like in the Jetsons, or?
I'm going to deem that it is adjustable, just like as a dome. You can open the top.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, this is going to be a bad choice, but let's do it.
I watch what they do when they open it, so I know maybe have an idea how to close it.
Okay, Rex, start rolling dice.
Uh-oh.
D10, was it?
Yes, sir. Always.
Does he get any bonuses from me telling him how to do the controls?
You're busy flying.
Okay.
Okay, a 9. Starting off right.
Yeah, let's just jump right into that. Let's see. A 9.
This isn't going to be a Goose from Top Gun kind of situation, is it?
Well, by the
I'm
end,
not
maybe.
going to say what kind of situation that's going to be until the situation happens. You kind of fiddle with a couple of buttons and nothing happens.
That's strange. I thought Gerg said this is how you do it. Let me try that again. 7. Hey, we're getting better.
The upper dome that does not have the solar absorbers built into it dims to complete darkness.
Oh,
Can't see where we're going.
must,
No, not the windshield.
Oh, okay.
Must be the other way. My bad.
We're going to get pulled over by the space police because our tent's too dark.
8.
Yeah, it doesn't change.
All right. Okay. All right. It must be the other way. 9.
Yeah, it still doesn't change.
Oh, come on, you stupid thing.
You just
and
every time beep
he'll-
beep
he'll-
beep beep.
He'll do it slightly more vigorously. All right, 5.
Firmly pushing on that touchpad, you manage to not change a thing again.
And then Rex will just say, I think it was too sunny anyways. And he'll leave it alone.
Alrighty. So you cruise on for a while longer. Nothing happening until finally you start to see cultivated fields near a stream. The desert does give way to some green, some big stretches of forest. And then you see a clear space. Are you flying at a very high altitude? Or are you down low to the ground? Because remember, this thing could go into deep space. So
Well,
you'd be
I
up
mean,
at SR-71 altitudes if you want.
we don't need to be up in the clouds, I don't guess, but low enough to where we're above the treetops at the very least.
Okay. Then you very clearly see a group, a large number of humans, and you're down low enough that you can see there are also Orlan, very few, but some Orlan standing amongst the humans, and they're working in a field. And several stop and point, and some of the Orlans are kind of shielding their eyes against the sun and, waving two of their arms. And
Okay.
you see very nearby, there is what appears to be a village of some kind. It looks like a combination of restored ancient buildings that have been built up with newer modern building methods.
Okay. Is there a space where we could sit down close, but not too close?
There is. There's an open section of field where there Is no work that has apparently been done, and there are no humans or Orlin.
Okay. Does it look like any strange type of grass or flowers in that area?
Yeah, one of the Orlin is smiling and nodding. That's right, land right over there. No, it's nothing like that.
Okay.
Oh, the questions that you'll ask.
Okay. I guess we'll sit down in that spot there and take a look around before we disembark.
When a plant loves the warm, wet thorax of a human very, very much. All right, you sat down in the field, and approaching you on foot is a pair of Orlins. Which does that mean? 2 Orlins or 4 Orlins? Anyway, approaching you are a couple of Orlin and a group of humans. The humans have digging implements. One of the Orlin is holding clearly what is some kind of weapon, but he's not pointing it at you or anything like that. He kind of gestures like this, and the humans stop, and the 2 Orlin approach you.
So, is this the compound where that little girl was captured?
You have no idea.
Okay. I've never seen this before, or I've seen it and it doesn't recall.
You've never seen this before.
Okay, all right.
You've never seen this place before.
I feel better.
I think the image on, so maybe they'll think he's an alien.
The little girl that you saw before, she left with an Orlin, but you don't.
We never went back to save her. We're terrible human beings.
Well,
and accessory.
If she needed to be saved, I mean, she seemed perfectly happy to go with the Orlin. And of course, as always, Gerg, you sense that the Orlins are psychic because they are.
Yes. Do they seem peaceful or cautious or?
Guardedly curious.
Okay. Okay, I guess I'll step out of the bubble car and give him a waving little hand there. Hey, I'll send out a thought of greetings to them.
I will go with him. And
okay.
In my powered armor, my visor was opaque, and then I open it up, and they can see my hair flowing in the wind, and I will say, "Hello there. I'm Rex Dashington. This is my friend Gerg and Barongo," as I point back to the ship.
Yeah, I wave, and I'm getting out, but I'm standing next to the ship.
That's fine. Greetings, Outlanders. To what do we owe the pleasure of this most unexpected visit by you?
Well, we were looking for a village of Orlin. You see, we have encountered one of your kind, and unfortunately, we need to bring some sad news. It was a building of the ancients with a terrible, evil robot that really liked organs. And he didn't make it. We were hoping to, inform his next of kin and maybe make trade relations with our new colony.
Well, your news of the passage of one of our kind is most distressing. Do you know if he was from our village here?
To be perfectly honest, we don't know where he was from. He had just given us a direction and said village of Orlin. Is this an Orlin village, or Have we accidentally knocked on the wrong door?
Oh, well, our town here is called New Hope. Some of our human friends call it the village of Orland, but it's all our village. Would you care to bring your machine to our village? We're just a half a kilometer over the tree line in that direction. We're actually here working. We're looking for ancient artifacts. This is the site of a much larger ancient settlement or town, and well, as you can see in the carts yonder, we've recovered several items that will be useful for both repair and putting back in service, and as parts or barter with other villages. But he turns to the humans behind him and says, "I think we can call it a good day's work." Yes, and they nod in agreement and say, "Yes, we would appreciate it if you could come to our village." And Orland's considered also. There seem to be about 20 of them.
And you said they're armed, right?
Yes. The Orland has a weapon of some kind visible. Now, if anyone else has a weapon, you don't know. The humans are all wearing various kinds of work clothes. There's a couple of Orland, both male and female. They're wearing work clothes also, but any one of them could have a small hand weapon, grenades, that sort of thing. You just don't know.
Are there any kind of locking mechanisms that I can use on the car to get locked down so that they can't get in and try to steal it?
You worried about this neighborhood all of a sudden, Girk?
Of course. They like ancient technology, so
yeah, I mean you can program it to like biometrically lock to just you.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and head over to their village and find a good place to land, and then after we get out, we'll lock it down.
Okay. It takes them 10 or 15 minutes to approach, and some word must have been sent ahead. You don't know if they have some communication system or what have you, but there is a few more Orland and a contingent of humans who approach you in your bubble car. There is at the head of the humans is a tall, dark-skinned individual in a blue smock with matching trousers, and he approaches you, smiling, holds up one hand. "Hail to you!"
Hello there.
He bows and says, "We saw your ancient transport land in the archaeological dig site. I presume that you spoke with the folk there before coming here."
Yes, they asked us to come over, actually.
I see. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Brainerd. I am the spokesperson for the human contingent here at New Hope. I'm also... No, please continue.
Rex will thrust out his hand, as was the ancient custom, and say, "It's good to meet you. I am Rex Dashington," as his hair sort of flows.
He takes your mechanical manipulator there at the end of your power armor, does not hesitate, shakes it just like it's your hand.
And I would like to introduce my friends, Barongo and Gerg.
Gerg.
I wave hi.
Greetings. To what do we owe the pleasure of this visit?
Well, as we were telling your foreman, we had actually met an Orlin a while back in a building of the ancients, and unfortunately, he met an end with an ancient robot. So we were looking for his family, but also we are looking for new villages to establish trade relations with.
I see. Well, the news of the death of anyone from New Hope is well, quite frankly, tragic. But
to be honest, we're not entirely sure he's from New Hope. We just knew the general direction, and we were wondering if perhaps you had someone who went up north to scout for ancient parts.
Yes. 14 suns ago, Tomaz left our village in search of other locations to explore. He said he had heard rumors of a structure of the ancients. Oh, that must be why we haven't seen him. Poor Tomaz. Well, he was an only. He did not have any other relatives, although the Orlin, and by extension we, consider ourselves part of a larger group organization. You call it a family, if you will. Were you able to recover his physical form?
Ooh, yeah, about that. Unfortunately, the security robot or medical robot that we ran across had an unfortunate liking for the internal organs of others. There was not a whole lot left of. Sorry, was Tomaz his name or Zaymont? Tomaz, I think, right?
Tomaz, yes.
Yes, unfortunately, there was not much that we were able to recover.
It is a tragedy. Well, we will remember him in the circle of remembrances at the appropriate time. Well, it is a shame it is under such dire circumstances, but you are welcome to our small village here. You have you come from a great distance, from across the sea or across the great wastes? It's right about then that the Orlin and the humans from the field arrived back at the town, and the Orlin that you had spoken to, walks up to your conversation and says, yes, Dr. Brainerd, have you shown them the rest of our settlement? And he smiles warmly and says, no, I was just about to. Come along, please. Allow me to show you. Do you follow him? He's gesturing at the town.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, make sure I get that locked up nice and tight.
Okay. Yep. Like I said, you can just, with a touch of a few buttons on the door panel, biometrically lock it to yourself.
Okay. So, guys, if anybody runs around with a raccoon skin hat on later, you know it was me.
All right, so this town, there are some places where clearly there were buildings ruined by an ancient blast or something, and there's there's blocks that have just been completely cleared. The streets are all cleared. There are no piles of rubble. Everything has been neatly stacked and organized. Perhaps most interestingly is the presence of artificial lights. They clearly have some sort of power source here because there's a lot of artificial lights. You also see a lot of windmills. And you're not sure if that's the source of electricity, if they have some kind of solar adapters or what. There's not a lot of Orland. There are a good amount of humans talking. There's someone with some kind of cart. They're selling food of some sort. What you can only presume is some kind of eating or drinking establishment with people sitting outside, just kind of going to and fro. It's a bustling place. You're not sure how many people live here, if they're all just kind of crammed together, or if it's much larger and there's a really big population, but it seems fairly populous. And Dr. Brainerd is explaining yes, it was 2 years ago that we were able to get in the power conductivity. Now, we haven't quite figured out the wireless power conductivity that the ancients had, so we transmit the electricity for these lights over these metal ropes, cables. We transmit it over these cables, and I'm able, of course, to have clean water and the ancients' medical systems that require electrical power to operate. I'm able to use those for the treatments of injuries. None of you are in need of any medical attention, I presume.
Gerg shakes his head no.
All right.
No,
No, I don't think so.
we're okay for now.
But there's as I said, a marketplace, at least a few food establishments. Most everybody seems to get around on foot, although there are a few people moving around on 3- and 4-wheeled devices that they pedal, that move. So some have passengers in them, some just have some piled up cargo, and so it is. If you guys want to stop and examine anything, let me know.
Gerg's little nose is twitching as he's sniffing at the various food vendors out there, salivating slightly.
Oh yeah. There's plenty of that. And the Orland that's accompanying you, as Dr. Brainerd's pointing out various things, says, oh, and I should ask, do you know the folk of Goodwater?
We are the folk of Goodwater.
Really? Well, we had been worried. We hadn't gotten any food traders from there for many moons. And
Ooh, yeah, that's another bit of news we might want to bring up. So it seems as though there was a group calling themselves the Knights of Genetic Purity who were out to murder all the mutants in the world. We had dealt with them, luckily. Unfortunately, many of the members of Goodwater perished before we got there. We eventually, we turned all of the Knights of Genetic Purity into mutants, and that seemed to have solved the murder problem.
I see. Well, good for you. I was going to say that we had recently gotten a shipment of food from some traders from Goodwater, but we didn't have this tidbit of news.
Yes, well, see, since then, we have combined populations with Outpost 76. They have moved up to Goodwater, and we have taken up residence in a building of the ancients near there, and we are now looking to industrialize food production to provide more food for everyone.
Well, I think that's a capital idea. And Dr. Brainerd nods and smiles. Yes, increasing food production, I think, will do a lot to improve the health of all the folk along the along this corridor of land between here and Goodwater. I don't know if you saw flying over, but there's a few establishments, and the Orlan kind of breaks in and says, "Yes, but we're trying to convince those folks to move closer to New Hope. We think it'd just be safer. We can provide a common defense. A town of 15 or 20 people is really, it's in great danger. Blash, Zeeth attacks, batters. Just, I shudder to think what could happen. Those folk could really do by adding to the population here, I think."
Well,
Dr. Brainerd nods and said, "Yes, that is wise. That is very true."
Well, this seems to be a fortunate coincidence because we have brought the wreckage of 2 security bots of the ancients.
Really, the Orlan's eyes, all 4 of them, light up.
Yes,
Did you bring to trade?
we certainly did.
This would be most advantageous if we could see these things.
Well, we have left them in the ship. What time of day is it?
It's early afternoon.
Okay.
You know.
Well, we can certainly go back to the ship and bring them out.
Oh, please do. The Orlan walks over. There's 2 not youths in the sense of like 13 years old, but it's, teenagers, sort of sitting and they're drinking from small cups, just chit-chatting with each other. He walks over and has a word to them, and they both stand up and smile and nod and says, Anton and Paulus here have a push cart that could be most useful in transporting these things. I'm presuming that they are completely shut down and immobile.
Oh, yes, they certainly are.
Excellent. So they disappear for a few minutes and come back, and they are pushing what looks like a platform that is perhaps 1.5 meters wide and 2.5 meters long, that floats maybe 10 centimeters off the ground. Just seems to float there, emitting a slight humming sound.
Gerg is investigating this closely. He's very curious about it.
There's a little bit of a static field to it because when you get closer, like you poof. But otherwise, it just seems to be a piece of ancient technology.
Rex will point to Gerg and say, "He's our engineer."
I see. Yes.
I'll wave for them to follow me back to the bubble car.
Okay.
Well, I will certainly go with Gerd back to the car, just to make sure.
Okay, and you got the two robots. They are awestruck at the vehicle. The Orlan told us that the ancients once moved in vehicles like this, but we didn't know such things could still exist. Look at this. How fast can it go? How many people can it carry? Can it go underwater? Can you go beyond the atmosphere with it? Is it safe from radiation?
Gerg.
Can you sleep in it? What about food? Does it dispense food?
Rex will point to the cup holders.
They're kind of, opening the little ashtrays and lifting up the seats, and that they have completely forgotten the robots they were sent to get.
Yeah. I'll usher them back to the robots and
Okay.
help them unload.
They have a couple of devices that seem to operate on the same principle as the cart that you now see that are not part of the cart, but they clamp one to each side of the robot, press a couple of buttons, and it just sort of hovers up. They drag it over, lower it down, press two more buttons, and the cart dips down a few centimeters and then kind of bobs up under the weight. And then they do that to the other one and bring it on. They make an adjustment and the cart bobs back up.
Okay, lock the ship back up. Make sure there's nobody on it.
Okay. Yeah, they're both there.
Shoo them out.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, this, by the way, you're not sure how it works, but you've seen some documentation back in the base of the ancients. This is actually an anti-gravity sled.
Mm.
So they push this thing back over, and the Orlan is there. Dr. Brainard is not. And he's truly magnificent implements of destruction. Well, I must say this ranks the various broken household goods and crumpled bits of metal that we get from the occasional trader. Were you looking for a straight trade for other pieces, or did you have a price in Domars, perhaps?
Well, to be perfectly honest, as a symbol of friendship between New Hope and a Good Hope and New Water, we would like to gift you one of these, and then we could trade for the other.
Well, that is a most honorable thing. Well, we will gladly accept whichever you wish to gift us. Did you guys bring the shot up ones or the ones that were just shut down?
The shot up ones.
Shot up ones.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, he basically says, well, let's come to it. Which do you intend to gift us and which do you wish to barter for?
Do we want to give them the one that's least shot up to make it look a little better,
Yeah. Seems nicer.
Okay. So he gratefully accepts it and then offers you 500 Domars for the other one.
Are we wanting Domar's, guys, or do we want supplies?
Did we want more energy packs? The atomic energy packs? I think
Yeah.
that was originally why we wanted to come to this village.
Yeah.
Is that in character or
Out of character.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're just talking out. Yeah, I would believe it was atomic batteries and possibly even some energy cells for the laser rifles and stuff too.
Sorry, what was that? Energy?
The energy cells for the
Oh,
laser rifles and such.
Oh, okay. So I will say to the Orlan, actually, we're okay with Domars, but we could really use some power cells. Some of the atomic power cells for the vehicles, and of course, we could also use some for our weaponry.
Power cells for your weaponry I could possibly do, but atomic power cells, those are rare enough that when we find them, we have to put them to use here. We cannot trade for those items, I'm afraid.
All right. Well, what sort of weapon power cells do you have?
Well, I see that you are carrying the energy projection weapons of the ancients. We, of course, had traded and found a not inconsiderable amount. I'm not immediately at liberty to say how many we have to hand, but we could perhaps trade 10 power packs for the other.
Do we know the value of a power pack yet? Have we ran across those in a trading situation?
You have not, no.
Okay.
Typically, with stuff you guys trade, like common trading items, are like swords made of scrap metal, armor, likewise, bows and arrows, crossbows, traveling supplies, food stores, riding beasts, saddles, small carts, and small boats and canoes, that kind of thing. Technology just being openly traded is, at least so far to you, super duper rare.
Okay. Do you have any extra of those anti-gravity sleds?
There we go.
No. I'm afraid not. We have far too much work to do to spare any of those. My sincerest apologies regarding that.
10 power cells for rifles will only give us 50 shots, basically.
Yeah.
That's right.
So maybe ask for some more Domars on top of that.
All
right. He offers the 10. What did I offer you guys? 500 Domars?
Yeah.
So he offers you the 10 and 200 Domars. And you feel like that's a really good deal and you should take it.
All right. Well,
it's not like,
Can we suddenly fill that?
Little bit. Like, hey, this guy's actually making us a really good offer,
Did I get my second save? I've got that dual brain thing going on. I think I get 2 saves versus mental.
Yeah. You're like, no, that's not that good of a deal.
Okay. I'll kind of let these guys know. It's not the greatest deal, guys.
And
I'm like,
Rex
really?
will look at him kind of puzzled. I know, my friend. You're hungry. And then Rex will say to the Orlin, what about some food included with that? My little friend seems to be hungry.
Oh, of course. You must have traveled a great distance to come here. Here, Nils Cafe. They have the best roasted hog beast. I'm sorry. Are you meat eaters?
Yes, of course.
We eat anything that's slower than we are.
Spoken like a true carnivore. Yes. Well, please let us. And he walks you over to this to this cafe. Opens the door. There's exclusively humans in the place. But he goes in and sits and orders plates of food for all of you. And it smells and tastes delicious.
And I'll turn
Gert,
towards
they get you a booster seat and a kids menu.
I'll turn towards Gerg and say, huh?
4 crayons, and can you solve the maze?
Gerg's salivating, but he's still not too happy with the deal. He thinks we need more, and I'll let you know that too. We need more for the robot. It's not a good deal yet.
So out of character, was there anything else we needed for the base?
I really don't know. I mean, we have a vague idea of what we've got there, but we don't have like an inventory. Like you said, there's nobody that could keep a detailed inventory. So,
do we need more like car parts for Steve or anything?
Yeah, that could come in handy. Yeah.
All right, so I'll turn to the Orlin and say, "Oh, this dinner is most delicious, but my friend also would like to know: do you have any spare parts for chariots of the ancients?"
Yes. We have a few of these of ourselves, but I blessed by fortune, we have found quite the supply of these spare parts. Do you know precisely what you need?
Gerg doesn't know exactly what we need, but he broadcasts that he would like to take a look to see what they have to offer.
Okay. Well, we can definitely arrange that tomorrow.
Okay. Gerg digs in.
All right. It's delicious. All of you say versus poison. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No. I mean, the food's extraordinary. Lord Corion says, I want to see the chart and rolls on Gerg getting through the maze. do you do the fun page on the back of your placemat, Gerg?
Sure, why not?
Well, with a dual brain, I mean, you're just like stay to the right, zip, 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 zip. The chef's hat is backwards. The waiter has no mustache. That plate has 3 breadsticks. That plate has 2 breadsticks, and the doorknob's on the other side of the door. Yeah, you knock out the jumble while you're waiting for your fries. So yeah, you have a lovely meal. And he says in the morning, because it is getting on in the afternoon, in the morning, you are absolutely more than welcome to look at their stock of parts, because they have lots and lots and lots. Some in the packaging they were put in ancient days.
Wow.
And for the evening, there actually is a traveler's inn you may stay in.
Okay. I think Gerg would actually rather stay on the bubble card just to be safe.
Okay, what about Rex and Borongo?
I think Rex would also want to stay in the car. He will whisper out of earshot of the Orlin to the group. He'll say, I've heard in some of these inns there can be a deadly beast called the bed bug. I wish to avoid them if possible.
That sounds disgusting. I would like to avoid that as well.
Turns out the bed bug is a blash. Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to Mutant Town, population U.
I'll stay in the vehicle as well, unless I mean, do we sense that it's an insult? I mean, I'm good for insulting him. I just
Right,
need to know if it's an insult.
It's a little curious. He's very well. So be it.
Yeah, we'll see you in the morning.
Okay.
But all my stuff's in the car. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to find Jawas driven down the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So evening comes. Let's see. We'll just. Yeah, nothing terrible happens in the center of the village. Morning comes, you kind of wake up, you can see through the tinted windows of the bubble car. I mean, there's people who may not know you're asleep in it, kind of walking along, sliding their hands down it, checking it out. But they all seem to be on their way to the dig. The Orlin are kind of hustling, like, that's someone else's property. Could you please? Moving folks along. After a while, there is a knock at your vehicle.
Yeah.
And it is the Orlin from last night.
Guess we'll open the hatch and step out.
Greetings, my friends. Did you enjoy your evening in your spacious vehicle?
Gerg. Once everybody's out, I'll lock it up.
Okay. Well, two things of note. First of all, we will go and we will examine the automotive artifacts and see if there is something perhaps there that would be of use to you. But also, the village councilwoman, the head councilwoman, would like to meet you. After we tend to business, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Sure.
Okay. He takes you to a building that has ancient flecks of red paint still clinging to its brick surface. It has been bolstered up with wood. The roof seems to be made of timbers and sheets of metal. What purpose it served you don't really know, but it's now apparently some kind of warehouse, and there are rows upon neatly ordered rows, and just boxes and boxes and stacks and piles of little mechanical doodads, which he and the humans and the Orlin that are present in the building, there's one other Orlin there, tell you are all parts of ancient vehicles from the past. Most of them were in this place when we found it, but we had to lift the roof and 2 of the walls off of it. Some of them we just found in a jumble with whole ancient vehicles, none of them operational, of course, just in a fenced in it. Well, we presume it was fenced in. We found the crushed remains of fences off in the southeast corner of town.
Closed. Sorry, guys.
Greg,
Go ahead.
Greg's going to pull out his drawings that Steve gave him to look for the parts that we were going after.
Okay. You spend... Good Lord. You have to look at everything, because A, the light in here is kind of dim, and B, there's literally tens upon thousands of individual pieces. You are there most of the day.
Okay.
Um,
I was actually thinking I would show the whoever's working in there what I'm looking for and see if they can't find them quicker.
Okay. All right. So with their help, we'll cut that time in half and say it takes a couple of hours. I mean, they don't have a working inventory computer in here or anything. But they get you a few examples of it that you think, one of them is like, if that piece bent that way instead of that way, it would fit perfectly. So maybe it could be modified. And then there's these two. This one, the lower part is rusted and cracked, but otherwise it's okay. And this one, the lower part is just fine, but it has a vertical split over here. This might help you, little raccoon friend.
Okay. Is it just a few parts that they bring forward, or is it like several? Several examples.
It's several, and this is the culmination of many hours of work. They don't just like, oh yeah, here.
Okay.
I mean, this is them like making an effort to help you guys out.
Okay. Well, this seems more equitable, I believe, with the rest of the trade involved.
Okay, it sounds awesome. It was kind of good before, but yeah, this is even better.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed, Gerg.
You're quite the negotiator.
Okay. Give him a shake on the deal.
All right. He shakes your tiny paw in his massive human hand.
Yeah.
The Orlin comes by just seemingly minutes after you guys come to the agreement and says, my friends, yes, there you are. Any luck finding the mechanical pieces that you require?
I'll point to the pile that we found.
My field of specialty is more electronical devices. I presume that will suit. Yes.
I nod vigorously.
Well then, do we have a deal?
And I'll let him know these parts along with the rest of what we agreed on last night. Yes, we have a deal.
Okay, well, he claps his hands together, and because he has 4 hands, that, it's like applause. Most excellent, then. Please bring the parts. And he says to the fellow who's brought them out, Dominic, thank you for your help today. We will see to it that the salvage warehouse receives appropriate recompense. This is part of some assistance in trade we're doing with the newcomers. And he nods, and so they go off into back to doing whatever it is they're doing, documenting, dusting off. You hear great hissing sounds, so sounds like a mechanical snake, and you see a mighty blast of dust from somewhere off in the rear. No one's panicking though, so it must be normal.
Okay, we'll head back to the bubble car and get the parts loaded up, and wait for the power cells and the cache.
Well, alrighty, they are forthcoming.
Okay. And then I guess we're supposed to meet up with the councilwoman afterwards.
Yes. You are taken to see the councilwoman. To the council chamber.
Yeah.
Again, nobody's getting that tonight. That's like the second time I've done it. Nobody's jumped in on that. All right, so you go to the council chamber. And it's a little bit awkward. I mean, it's an open place. There's no guards, formal, barred door. Well, it's just kind of an open air building that has been cleaned. The inside looks like it was made of polished marble or something. There's standing near a dais at the far end of the room. There is an Orlin with greenish blonde hair, and she is comforting a sobbing human woman, or human appearing woman. And you not sure what the conversation is about, but they seem to be finishing whatever it is. And the Orlin says something very quietly to her, and she nods. The Orlin kisses her on right there, because an Orlin's almost 3 meters tall, and she turns and quickly walks out of the room. But she, despite having a tear-streaked face, red from crying, she is smiling. She is positively beaming as she is leaving the room. And she bows slightly as she passes you and goes on.
Smile back and say, "How you doing?"
She kind of laughs, and I'm doing a lot better. Thank you. And goes on. And the female Orlin turns and looks at you and says, "I am Margot. I am the head councilwoman, and I'm sorry for that. With a situation, just one of those things that can come up in a town of so many people. I am told you are traders from the Outlands and from Goodwater, yes?"
Yes, that's true.
I look at us and shake my head. Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to you all. They told me you came in a fantastic ancient flying vehicle. Please come in. Sit. She motions towards some chairs. She doesn't have some throne or something like that. She just sits down in a plain chair. Only her height makes her taller than you. please tell me of your travels. Tell me of Goodwater. I've only caught bits and pieces. After a great absence, we finally were able to get some trade goods and information from them. But Haldor told me that there had been dealings with the Knights of Genetics Purity, and please fill me in.
Yeah, I guess we'll fill her in on the details of what we had to endure.
All right. She nods. She listens. Just do you mind if I take some notes at all?
Fine with me.
All right.
Are you a historian as well?
Well, we have to keep track of things, and yes, history is important to us. I mean, this is the way the world is, and past being gone. So, yeah, she takes notes. One set of hands writing, and the others. I see. Yeah. Could you, it's a little. You've seen Orlin before, so you're not like, whoa, freaky 4-armed lady or anything like that. As she's listening to you, she's writing things down, nodding sagely. But I mean, she definitely has your attention, or you definitely have her attention. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, after we fill her in, I guess we could ask her if she has any questions or anything.
Okay. Yeah, she just asks for as much information as you can give her, and at the end of it all, I mean, it's kind of gotten late in the afternoon. She has a meal brought in for you guys. She's mostly fruits and vegetables, but you're welcome to ask for anything. And at the end of the meal says, I have a proposition for you all. We in this community, we are trying to keep this region as safe as we can. Now, in a flying vehicle coming through the air as you were likely fairly safe from any harm, but any traveling on the land, how dangerous the mutations out there are. I don't want to impose, but I'll just be as direct as I can. Would you join our community here and help us in helping the world at large?
In what way are you helping the world?
Well, as you can see, we're rebuilding the town and we're helping people get back on their feet, bringing people in closer, out away from the wilds. There's just the number of mutated plants and beasts. It's so dangerous. We're trying, well, pardon my boldness, but we're trying to create something of the old world here. Not with the violence and the hatred, obviously, but a place of technology and a haven and a city, if you will. And slowly but surely, we're getting there. Humanity doesn't have to wander around in the darkness anymore. we'll do everything we can to help guide and protect and rebuild. And such fabulous machines you have, we've never heard of such or seen of such, just the vaguest references.
Well, I mean, that's essentially what we've been trying to do with Goodwater and Outpost 76, and then now the our new home. Maybe we could convince them that we could work together on both sides of the wasteland, try to clean it up between us.
Sounds like a good idea. Maybe make some alliance where we're coordinated, but not necessarily living here.
Yeah.
Well, I think you would find this to be very comfortable. And I mean, the folk of Goodwater have a simple but bucolic life, but here with the medical help, with the potential to discover more and wonderful technology, wouldn't you think that a place like this would be comfortable to settle down in, for lack of a better term?
Well, we just bought a new home up in Goodwater.
Yeah, it's a fixer-upper, but we're fixing it up as we speak.
Right. So let me see. Give me just a second here. Okay. Yeah, she's really going with the full Chamber of Commerce charm offensive, but she's not being pushy or, seize them kind of thing. But she says, well, don't make any decisions tonight. Do they need you back at Goodwater immediately?
And not immediately.
Well, we can spend a little time here and certainly like to get to know the people, and maybe you can tell us a little bit of what you know about the surrounding areas.
Indeed. I think if you knew a little bit more about what we're doing with the town and the dangers of the wasteland around us, perhaps we can come with a morning light to a more agreeable conclusion, shall we say. And with that, she retires for the evening. You're free to return to your vehicle or go to the Traveler's Inn. It's up to you guys. But that is where we're going to break. And we will... we will pick it up next Friday, guys. I hope everyone out there in the audience enjoyed. Thanks again for the little super chat. We always appreciate that from Lord Corion. Thank you kindly. Thank you, of course, to our players tonight, James, Kevin, and Yang Yan Zhao. We really appreciate you guys stopping by. I will be back on Monday. Tomorrow, I will be running an event, a role-playing game event at Gods and Monsters right here in Orlando. That's 5421 International Drive, Orlando, Florida. Stop on by if you're in the area. We're going to have some fun and games. So we will we'll see you guys next time. I will see you guys next Friday. Everyone else in my audience, I'll see you on Monday, and we'll just start the ball rolling again. So have a wonderful night. And no, you guys should buy me a Coke. Anyway, take it easy, folks. We'll see you next time. Peace out.